the second of the modern Saturday Night's Main Events are even closer. I'll have my eyes glued to this show because I want to know. I mean, they got to turn Hulk Hogan heel, right? If Hogan's going to be on the show, and I don't know if he is, it's just that he's been in all the video packages. And they've got the sponsorship with the Hulk Hogan beer, the deal or whatever. I don't know if that, whatever. But like, if Hulk Hogan is going to come out on the show, because now, even if you think like, well, it depends on the location, it depends on this, it doesn't. Booing Hulk Hogan is now a thing. The gloves are off. This is what wrestling fans do. I mean, he got booed in Tampa. It's his hometown. He got booed in Tampa at WrestleMania, 37. And then he got booed at the building at Netflix Raw. Everybody saw it. It became a news story. It became a meme. He's getting booed. I feel like the only thing you could do with Hogan right now, if he's going to keep coming out, is put that NWO beard back on him. And Hollywood's got to come back. And he's got to lean in. He's got to tell him to stick it. Because he's getting booed if he's coming out. They haven't announced that's happening, so I'm just saying if it does. But this is what they have announced for Saturday night's main event. Of course, as we were just talking, Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu, and I think this is the first match in that new era of Jacob Fatu. I think that this is sort of the coming out party of who Jacob Fatu is post new bloodline, who Jacob Fatu is beyond being the heavy for Solo Sikoa. Everything that we've seen, all the sort of like potential that exists, now is the time that it kicks into gear. I would not be shocked at all to see Jacob Fatu get that, Big Daddy Cool Diesel / Kane / whatever position in the Royal Rumble where he comes out and eliminates like 11 people. Wouldn't shock me one bit if that position belonged to Jacob Fatu this year. But before we get to the Rumble, he's got Braun Strowman one-on-one, and I think Braun Strowman is a perfect opponent for Jacob in terms of showcasing who this guy is, right? Because Braun Strowman, because of injuries, because of whatever, has kind of been here and gone and here and gone. But he's such a physical specimen. First of all, he's a former champion. But second of all, he's such a physical specimen. I think Jacob Fatu wins this match. And the headline is, look at what Jacob was able to do to even Braun Strowman. This has nothing to do with size. This has nothing to do with stature. This has nothing to do with anything except when the bell rings and Jacob Fatu has permission to fight, whoever is in there with him is in grave danger. I think that this is one of those, like, everybody's on notice type of matches that 2025 is going to be a huge year for Jacob Fatu. You've got Braun Strowman versus Sheamus, which is not Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker. Both Brauns wrestling on Saturday night's main event. Big Saturday night for the Brauns. Braun Breaker versus Sheamus. I don't see Sheamus winning that title, man. And they have teased it so much, and he has gotten so many opportunities, and every time it comes up, somebody says, well, Sheamus has never won the Intercontinental Championship. And that's true. And I think there is this section of the audience that really wants Sheamus to win that Intercontinental Championship, that really wants Sheamus to have that moment. But I don't think people want to see Braun Breaker lose. I don't want to see Braun Breaker lose. It was cool when he lost to Jey Uso. It was fine. Give Jey Uso that moment and let that continue to be a feather in Jey Uso's hat. Look, regardless of how long he held the Intercontinental Championship for, the fact is he was Intercontinental Champion, and the fact is he did what not many have, which is he beat Braun Breaker in a singles match for the championship. Let that be a feather in Jey Uso's hat. Let Braun Breaker hold on to that Intercontinental Championship for some time, because it just makes everything interesting. The idea of saying so-and-so would be a great Intercontinental Champion, this person would be a great Intercontinental Champion, that person would be a great Intercontinental Champion. All right, but that means they have to go through Braun Breaker. I think that Braun Breaker's second reign hasn't been quite established enough. I think Sheamus is going to put him through it. I think this is going to be the match that steals the show. I think Braun Breaker and Sheamus is going to be who was it? Sheamus and Gunther? I think it was Sheamus and Gunther, was it that? Yeah, at that first Clash at the Castle, the one that was headlined by Drew and Roman, it was Sheamus and Gunther. And I remember saying that, like, the physicality of that match ended up being like Shakespeare. I don't know if Braun Breaker versus Sheamus is going to be on the level of Gunther versus Sheamus, but I think that that's the bar, for lack of a better term, with Sheamus, that they're searching for. And I think that's where they're going to try to take this thing. And that the goal is for people tuning into Saturday Night's Main Event to see what Sheamus is capable of right now and how much potential there is in Braun Breaker. I think Braun wins, and I think Sheamus once again loses nothing. That's the thing. Sheamus has not won every single match he's been in since he came back after WrestleMania, except every match he's been in has been an absolute fight. Every match he's been in, he's left with welts. Every match he's been in has looked like the type of match you maybe want to have once a year and then take a lot of time off. And he's doing them on TV several times a month. So, like, I think this is going to be one of those matches, and it ends up being yet another match that Sheamus can lose and doesn't actually lose anything. That if you turned around a week later and said Sheamus getting another Intercontinental Championship match, you'd go, yeah, that makes sense, and I'm happy to see it. You got Jey Uso versus Gunther. I think a good match for Jey. I think a great David Goliath match. I think a great good guy, bad guy match. And I think I was going to say a match that Drew may interfere in, but but Gunther doesn't like interference. Remember when Finn Balor interfered? And maybe that's where you go, right? Maybe Drew does interfere, and Gunther has a problem with Drew interfering as well. And Gunther's kind of slow journey into being a babyface gets closer and closer, unless the goal is to have John Cena versus Gunther at WrestleMania, because if that's the case, you kind of want to keep Gunther a heel. So I think that there is, I could easily see interference, Drew McIntyre getting involved, somebody getting involved. Maybe even Jacob Fatu. But also, Gunther winning clean over Jey Uso, I don't think it would hurt Jey, and I think it might be real good for Gunther. I think it might be, especially because the last big title match he had against Damian Priest when Finn Balor interfered, even though it was made up for, it still was an interference thing. And I think Gunther's at his best when he's just fighting and winning matches clean. And that's also what's going to get him heat, man. That's what's going to get people to boo him, is if he just beats their hero. If he just nobody wants to see Jey Uso lose. If Gunther and Jey Uso make us believe that it could happen, and then Gunther just beats Jey Uso, I think that's a cool thing. I think that might be where I would want it to go. And then the fourth thing announced for Saturday Night's Main Event, and I'm sure they will announce more, is Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes signing their contract for the Royal Rumble with Shawn Michaels presiding over. Now, of course, they're in San Antonio for Saturday Night's Main Event, so it's only smart that they bring in Shawn Michaels to do something, and I think that this is a good position for him to be in. I've liked how Shawn Michaels has been used on NXT television, where the credibility that he earned in his wrestling career as Shawn Michaels kind of still shines through. There's not only a respect, even on camera, that these characters have for Shawn Michaels, but the idea that he could still get physical. Because we never saw, that one match we don't really talk about, the tag match with The Undertaker Kane, we don't really talk about that match. Other than that match, we never really saw Shawn Michaels wrestle past when he should have been wrestling, except for that one match. We don't really talk about that match. So it's left you to this place where you're like, I'll bet if Shawn put the tights back on, he has one more left in him. There's this thing. Shawn is one of those guys that you think if he put the tights on, he might have one more in him. And that vibe lends to a certain, not only credibility, but an ability to talk to NXT superstars as an authority figure in a certain way, because he can also kick ass. And I think that he's gonna carry that with him into San Antonio with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. I do wonder, because it's San Antonio and Kevin Owens loves being a bad guy, if Shawn is the victim of some physicality. There's no way he'll take a pile driver. I wonder if he takes some kind of a stunner maybe, and then Kevin Owens goes for the pile driver before Cody stops him. He was about to pile drive Shawn Michaels. I think that would probably be a good way to go. But yeah, of course, because this goes back to SmackDown and Nick Aldis trying to get Kevin and Cody to both sign the deal, and neither one of them would sign before the other signed. So Shawn Michaels is going to make it all happen, and yeah, I think it'll be a great show. It'll be a fun show, and I'm sure that I don't know. Actually, I haven't spoken to Megan, but maybe we'll have to do a little Saturday Night's Main Event instant react show coming up this weekend.